together. Um, now more so than ever, I think we really need to band together. Communities, businesses, residents. We're kind of all experiencing this together, and I can say that we've never kind of been in this situation before. So we're learning together. We're growing. We're figuring this out, and you putting together these types of events. Gives us a chance to kind of talk about what we're doing and also hear from our local businesses and any ideas or plans they have for moving forward through this as well. So thanks again for putting this together. In terms of Chartiers Valley School District, I'm sure many of you have heard they have postponed classes indefinitely at this point. And they are starting, today's Wednesday, on Monday, they went back to the online learning. So our students are still getting educated. They're still making strides to graduate. The seniors this year are looking to graduate and move on with their education or going into the workforce. So from a program standpoint, my understanding is most things are on hold or postponed right now. I encourage anybody that has children in the CV school district to check out their website. They've got a lot of great information, not just on how they are continuing to educate the students, but also how to get through this crisis in the school district realm. So they've got some good information on how to talk to your children about the COVID-19 pandemic, how to be prepared, what you can do, how you can learn virtually during this time. So a lot of great information on their website, and I highly recommend that you check that out. I'm always trying to look at some positive spins throughout this situation. One of the things that has helped Collier during this time is that we generally have 2 police officers that are school resource officers in both the primary schools and the high schools. Obviously, since the buildings are closed down, that gives us the ability to bring them back onto our force and allow them to have regular shifts. So we're still doing full staffed with our police department, full shifts. But it's been nice to bring a couple of our officers back into the fold for regular duty.
Great. And what projects have been put on hold? What will still be moving forward? I know there's been a lot of growth in the area, so obviously we want to know what's to come.
Sure. And we've been in close contact with a lot of the developers. If you're aware, Sheets is currently putting shovels in the ground at their new Route 50 and Steen Road location. The Vanadium project to kind of reconstruct that intersection has been something that's been ongoing for years now. Projects from a township standpoint, we've been working closely with our financial committee and our finance director to kind of look at what Q3 and Q4 look like for us in terms of our revenues and our expenditures. As of today, we're still planning to move forward with our paving program for 2020. We set aside and allocate money each year for some infrastructural improvements. So we're still planning on doing that as of today. In terms of residential development and projects, as you know, some builders are attempting to get waivers from the governor's office to be able to continue to build homes. We've got several developments that are currently underway. My understanding is at this point, we're not building anything out of the ground. So we've got a lot of homes that might just need an electrical inspection. They might just need a final walkthrough. We're still assisting these builders in getting these residential units completed, but not really looking at new construction right now. And the same really goes for commercial structures as well. So in a nutshell, not a whole lot on hold as we speak, but it's something that we are reviewing and trying to make a determination on almost daily. As I'm sure everybody knows, with the information that we get from the state, from county, from the federal government, it changes so frequently. I think we're all getting a little bit better about reacting on our feet. So as of now, we're full steam ahead, and hopefully we can rebound from this and continue along that path.
What is your projection on residents and businesses returning to normal? I think that's the ongoing topic.
Yeah, whatever you all say is what's going to be my answer. It's such a tough question to answer. I'm a truly optimistic individual, and so I always hope that things will turn around quickly. And once now delayed until the end of April, stay-at-home order wraps up, we can start to come back to some type of normalcy. I'm telling myself that because it helps me sleep at night. But honestly, I don't know. I'm listening to the same news stories and reports that you all are, and unfortunately, I do keep this on my desk. It doesn't always give me the answers. So it's an 8-ball if you're just listening in, but we'll see, and we'll see together, and we'll get through it together. But I think staying positive and staying healthy and abiding by the president's orders and the governor's orders are important at this time to make sure we can get back to some sense of normalcy sooner than later.
And let's see, what changes, updates have been made to your municipalities, municipality officers on duty, garbage pickup, stay-at-home orders, anything for the residents or the commercial businesses?
Sure, yeah. We're also doing our best to kind of abide by those orders. Now, municipal governments are exempt and do fall into that life essential services category that's allowed to continue to operate. Hold on one second. I'm gonna end that call, sorry. We are reducing our daily staff in the office. So we never have more than 4 people actually in the office at a time. We are maintaining our distance from each other while we're here. And that's for the administrative staff, the Parks and Recreation. We do have an altered staff for Public Works, where we've got a total of 10 guys that work in our Public Works department, and we're doing 5 on one week and the other 5 on the next week. And they're focusing on the essential services, making sure our storm sewers are cleaned. Unfortunately, now we are cutting grass, so we got to stay up with the maintenance of our properties, our parks, our buildings, things like that. Police department is as if nothing has changed. They are still 24/7. If you are in need of emergency assistance, you can count on somebody from our department showing up to whatever your issue may be. I know a lot of the doctors and the grocery store workers, rightfully so, are getting a lot of the credit during this time. But I think our first responders too really deserve a lot of credit for being on the front lines, and a lot of times going into situations where they don't know the health of the person that they are interacting with on a very close basis. Again, positive to all this stay-at-home order, a lot of our fire calls, we've had more firemen show up, more volunteers show up at the scenes because they're all stuck at home sitting on their hands waiting for something to do. So again, it's a good thing that we've got so many committed folks that want to try to keep everybody as safe as possible. Garbage pickup has changed slightly. So Collier Township contracts with Republic Services, and they're doing their best to continue to maintain their regularly daily routes. So depending on when your garbage gets picked up, it'll continue to get picked up on that day. What is a little bit different is, for the time being, They're not accepting bulk items, and they're not accepting yard waste items. Placed in plastic bags and garbage bags in the bins, and that all the recyclables be placed loosely but securely in the recycling bin. I know there's been some confusion on why wouldn't I put my garbage into bags, and should I also now put my recyclables in bags? You should still keep your recyclables loose. But believe it or not, we do have some issues with folks just putting loose garbage into bins without trash bags. So we're just trying to get that information out to our residents as best we can.
Great. Anything else on that side? Are there any other updates regarding COVID or things that have been affected by the current situation for residents and businesses?
I would say if you're looking for a good resource in terms of what the county is doing, what the state's doing, what Collier is doing, what our businesses are doing, the Collier Township website, www.colliertownship.net, is a great place to go. We've got a large banner on our homepage with COVID-19 links and updates that provides some helpful information for unemployment, some housing information, and some mortgage information on there, as well as the Southwest Communities Chamber of Commerce page is linked there as well for small businesses to take a look at in this time of needing to gather as many resources as we all can. So from a COVID-19 side of things in our small businesses, that's a good place to start. I do want to mention, and I'm sure you're dealing with this all as well, one of the frustrations that I know myself and my colleagues have had has been this lack of consistent messaging from the top down. So obviously we do have somewhat of an obligation to abide by the orders that are passed down to us from the state level. And we do hear some conflicting messages in terms of should individual communities be declaring a state of emergency? Does it make sense for every municipality to declare a state of emergency and then have the ability to access funds or complete projects that they would otherwise need to meet publicly and act upon before they can? The state is telling every community that they should enact a state of emergency. The county emergency management center is saying that we should not. So I'm sure in your businesses and in the work you do every day, you run into the same thing that, are you essential? Are you not essential? Which parts of your businesses are essential? We're dealing with a lot of the same stuff and trying to find our way through the forest. Collier has not declared a state of emergency. The real reason the state was requesting it is because there was an understanding that in order to qualify for PEMA funding, you had to be in a state of emergency. That is not true. All municipalities, whether they declare a state of emergency or not, will be eligible for PEMA funding for any expenses related to the COVID-19 crisis. So we're figuring it out ourselves. We're doing the best we can while still providing the essential services we need to our residents and businesses. So that's all I'll say on my COVID-19 wrap up.
And as Kyle said, if you're looking for more information on business loans, waivers, payroll exemptions, student loan exemptions, stuff like that for your business and personal food banks, etc., check out the Southwest Communities Chamber site. We have it right on the front page as well, if they don't have it on the Collier Township page. Kyle, how are you doing public meetings? How are you guys doing business over at Collier? Just so people know, how it's being conducted. Obviously, you can't have your monthly meetings at this point.
Right. That's a good question. And I should have mentioned this when we were talking about staffing. So while we are still open for business, or are currently closed to the public. So if you are in need of getting a permit or filing a permit or have questions regarding your garbage or your taxes, we're asking that you call in. We will have somebody here to answer the phones and direct your inquiries to the person that they need to go to. But unfortunately, at this time, you won't be able to get into our offices to talk to us face to face.
What is
Public
the number for that?
412-279-2525 is our main line. There is a dial by name directory as well as a department directory. So you'll get routed to the person that you need to talk to if you call in. And then the second part of that, with the public meetings. Again, all municipalities are doing things in the same vein, but a little bit differently. I know there are still municipalities that are holding meetings the same way they have since before this started. What we're going to attempt to do for the month of April and what we did for our final meeting in March, we're using the GoToWebinar platform to allow our residents an opportunity to call in or video in to our public meetings. Now, those are held the second and fourth Monday of each month, with the fourth Monday of the month being our business meeting. There will be information provided on our website with the link to the meeting as well as a call-in number. But we're really trying to do our best to encourage folks during this time to abide by the governor's order, to stay home, and especially at the local level. We understand that making big changes or passing significant policy without giving the public a fair chance to interject or voice their concerns makes it real difficult when it's just like this over the phone or over the web. So we may be postponing some of our larger policy decisions until we're able to fully meet with the public and take their comments into consideration. That being said, part of the April meetings that will be through the GoToWebinar platform will also provide an opportunity for residents or participants to submit their questions or their comments 24 hours prior to the meeting taking place. And we will read those into the minutes. So they will be part of the official meeting as well. So interesting times. Like I said, we're all figuring this out together. And I think at this point, my board of commissioners and myself feel like this is a good way to continue to encourage folks to practice social distancing while keeping them informed on the meetings that we really need to have to do things like pay bills, move money around from our capital accounts to our general accounts, and continue to keep the lights on and us functioning here at the local level.
Thank you, Kyle. Is there anything else that I haven't touched base on that you'd like to add for today? Also, this is a great time if any of you have any questions to type them into the chat box so Kyle can answer them. It's a lot easier to get a hold of him right now than it would be to get through the main line. And that goes for Joe from Brentwood Bank as well. If you have any questions for him, you can type them in as well right now.
The only other thing that I want to mention is if you're familiar with Collier and our layout, we've officially closed off our parks facilities. So things like pavilions and playground equipment and basketball courts and tennis courts, those are now closed temporarily to the public. The parks themselves remain open, but we ask that folks maintain that 6 feet of social distancing if they are using our parks. We really ran into an issue with, I think it was last Thursday, was just a beautiful day. It was high 60s, sunny, and our parks were packed. Kids were sneezing on playground equipment. It was a mess. So we didn't want to have to physically put caution tape around our facilities in order to keep folks off of it. But there does seem to be a real problem of uh, people abiding by that 6-foot limit. And if we can do our part to help limit that, we want to. The Panhandle Trail, if you've been by it in the last 2 weeks, has been so overcrowded with people that are just looking to get out and about, which I totally respect and understand. When you're cooped up, just being able to go somewhere and get a little fresh air is important. But I just want to continue to stress, we all got to do our part. We all got to stay away from one another for now, so we can get through this. So I encourage you and your families and your clients to do the same.
I do agree. I live off the Montour Trail, and it's been just packed. We won't go up there, and I'm right on it, and I'm like, there's just way too many people. So, yeah, everybody, make sure you make that 6-foot distance if you can. We do have a question from Angela from Burn Scallow. Are police patrolling the community for violations of stay at home and possible vandalism? Are you finding compliance?
So from the stay at home order, again, great example of conflicting messages, where when the governor officially released that, he made the statement that the state police would be enforcing that. Day one, we had a couple of complaints in terms of people working that others felt should not be. We passed that information along to the state police, and they told us it was up to our local jurisdictions to enforce the stay-at-home order. Since that time, I think we have developed a pretty good working relationship with the state police. Our police officers aren't going to arrest you per se, but they are going to be the local investigators for the state police to make sure that they are enforcing the stay-at-home rule. So they're involved in the process, but they're not the end-all be-all. We are expecting to see, and to address the second part of that question, we are expecting to see somewhat of an uptick in vandalism and possibly in some thefts. And again, we hope this isn't the case, but when folks get stir crazy, they tend to do some strange things. So we're preparing. Like I said, the fact that we've got our 2 school resource officers back with us, we've been able to beef up our enforcement a little bit. So we're preparing for the worst in terms of vandalism, but fortunately, and knock on wood, we haven't had a problem with that at this point.
Great. Anybody else have any questions before we close out?
Hey, Mandy, I'll just throw out one of the questions that I've been receiving for the last few days is the whole government program that's out there for businesses. The government has approved the loans, but the regulations are still being written. We've been advised that those are going to be available sometime at the end of the week, as far as what banks can do, as far as community banks can do. So that process is coming along. We've had some meetings about it, and we're still waiting for the final response on it. But we're anticipating, I mean, you're seeing a lot of the different information out there. The 2.5 times your monthly payroll is what you're going to be able to apply, and all of those different programs. For the businesses out there, I would just suggest start getting your paperwork put together, maybe even download that application and start looking at it and trying to prepare to fill out that paperwork. And what I've heard is a lot of the accounting firms are reaching out to their business clients and being proactive, trying to get that information ready to go. So with that, we're even still waiting if the SBA is going to allow the community banks that weren't SBA lenders to be involved. So we're still in that understanding process. They're still finishing up the regulations. Again, we're hoping that Friday we'll have some more information out there that we're going to be able to put out to the public as well. So But if there's anything on Brentwood side, our branches are all still open and able to do any type of business necessary. We have our drive-throughs open. The lobbies are closed for obvious reasons, but we're in a good shape there. Zen also just placed a good link for the EIDL loan as well. So thank you, Zen. A lot of things out there to help our businesses and hopefully continue to do business as much as they can.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you to Brentwood Bank for helping to sponsor this series. This recording will be posted in the next couple of days on our website, as well as across our social media pages. If you are not already on our newsletter, please go to our website, southwestcommunitieschamber.org, and join. There should be a pop-up as soon as you go onto the page, or follow us on our social media. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And you can see all of the updates, especially business updates and anything that's happening in our region. We try to get everything updated daily. In addition, we will be following up with Bridgeville Borough, Carnegie Borough, and Scott Township starting next week. So stay tuned for updates on that, on dates and times. And once again, thank you to Kyle Thauvette of Collier Township for all of your information and taking the time to do this. I know you must be swamped there with everything changing. So thanks, Kyle. And thanks
Mandy. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And I feel like in this crazy time we're in, we've all forgotten that today is April Fool's Day. So if you've got a lighthearted April Fool's, this is the time that humanity needs it. I've changed all my email font to papyrus for the day.
Oh no.
My April Fool's to everybody. So do something light, have fun, and thanks again, Mandy, for having me. I really
Kyle, your shoes untied.
Got me.
All right, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay informed, and hopefully we'll see
Thanks, Mandy.
you soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Mandy. Take
Bye.
care.